and welcome back to the Musical Theater Workshop created and presented by the Princeton Festival as part of its Virtually Yours Festival 2020. I am LaCosse, and today I will discuss the process of preparation for the audition. So, now you've gained all the skills that you need and are ready to take the audition. Okay, so now, how do I get ready for them? Where do I find them? How do I find out what that's happening? So, first thing you do is you can check your area for local community theaters. They oftentimes do musicals as part of their season because musicals generally attract large crowds and they're fun for the audiences that come. So check your perimeter, see what community theaters you have there and what kinds of things they're doing. And find out what they're auditioning and what their audition requirements are and get yourself in there to audition. The only way you get good at auditioning is by auditioning, and that's at any level. So you want to make sure that you have lots of practice in doing that. I'll talk a bit now about how to get ready for that audition. So first of all, I talked about where do you find them. Check your community theaters, check backstage, check the internet, search for theater auditions, find out where they are, what they're doing, make sure there's something for you to do in that audition season, unless you're at the beginning. And then at the beginning I say you should audition for everything. And that includes musicals, plays, whatever that could be. Your local church might be doing something. If you go to a church, you might have something they're doing there. You can get experience about auditioning. But you need to get yourself out there often. You'll find eventually that once you've auditioned enough, you'll get really good at that, and you won't worry so much about what they think of you. And we'll talk a lot about that tomorrow. And we'll talk a lot about that tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. So, finding the right level of auditions. So, if you are starting out, you need to start out probably with your local community theater. That's a really good place to gain experience, and sometimes you may do the audition and you may be asked to be on the crew. Okay, being in the theater means, again, learning the craft and learning all parts of how theater works. Because you may be called on to be a props person, or a costume person, or a stagehand, or paint scenery. Those are all skills you're going to get to need. Oftentimes when you go to drama school, there is a crew component of it where you actually have to work on the stage crew and work on the set. So first of all, you have a respect for what everybody else is doing to help get the performance on stage so that the actors and the singers can be successful. So my thing is experience, and the younger you can get it, the better. So audition often and put yourself out there. Okay, now that you've begun to study and gain the skills that you're going to need to take the audition, we have to get now ready to find out how we get ready for the audition. We've developed our voice, we've developed our acting skills, we've developed our movement skills, but now we have to put that into an audition setting. Now what you need to understand about an audition, it is the most artificial way to judge somebody's talent. Because you come into a room, you have maybe 5 minutes, maybe 7 minutes to show them who you are, sometimes less, depending on how many people are auditioning. So, auditioning is not an exact science, and so you have to practice that up front. So how do you get ready for that? Well, first of all, you need to identify the material that you're going to present, okay? So, generally, you'll need a monologue that you'll need to perhaps perform and for the director and the producers that are actually casting the show. So you want to put together a monologue that is, again, appropriate to somebody they could see you playing. So if you are a teenager, probably not best to do something like King Arthur's monologue at the end of the first act of Camelot, because that's not an age-appropriate thing. You want to find something that's appropriate to somebody you would play, either classical or contemporary. And they may ask for a classical monologue and something a bit more contemporary. So you're going to have to get yourself to the library, on the internet, find monologues that are suitable for you, and practice those, memorize them, go to your acting coach and find those things out. We're going to talk a bit about those things that you need to find in just a moment. Now, your musical material. Okay, so you have to find something that's going to show you off really well and show what you do well. Remember, you are preparing for a job interview and you are not going to lead with something that is your weakest piece. You're going to lead with something that you can get out of the bed at 2 o'clock in the morning, somebody says go, and you can perform that piece no matter what. So you need 2 pieces generally, sometimes 3, but you need definitely something that's a ballad, a little more legato, a little more romantic perhaps, and something that's a little like a character song or something that's an upbeat song that goes fast. They want to see your versatility. Remember, they're judging you in a very short window of time, so you want to be able to show them everything you have. So now you need to practice your audition, even though you're not at the actual audition. So there are several ways that I found that you can do that. One is to gather some friends that are doing the same thing and perform your monologue and your songs for them. So they can help you understand, ask you questions about it. Like, I didn't understand why you did that, or why are you doing that? And you have to be able to take that criticism in the spirit that it's offered, that it's meant to make you better, okay? And you listen to it and you see if you can incorporate something or think about it a little bit differently. So absolutely, doing it in front of people makes it a lot easier. So I would recommend doing that. Making sure that your teachers, your acting teacher, your music, your voice teacher, your movement teacher are watching your auditions and giving you suggestions. Now, you're going to have a lot of stuff going on in your head, and you're going to have to try to pick, okay, that works for me, that works for me, that doesn't work for me. But the thing is, you have to try everything. Because you're going into a business where you're going to be asked to try things, and even if you don't think it's going to be the right choice for you to do it, you have to try it. Because you're going to discover something, and your willingness to try it will lead to something else. So if somebody says, you know, that song seemed a little too angry. Can you try it a little less angry? Okay, what does that mean? Okay, let me try that. Or, you know, your face isn't really involved in your presentation. So what can I do to fix that up? Okay, well, let me think about how I can make my face more expressive. Now, the one tool that you have to your advantage is you have the option of videoing yourself and watching it. Now, I know everybody hates watching themselves on video. I've been watching myself make these videos and I shudder when I see what I'm looking at. But it's important that you are able to step outside that and really objectively critique yourself. So you're the one doing the audition, and you're the one that knows when it can be better. Now, that means to say you have to pull your ego out of it, and you have to not say, oh, that was awful, oh, that was horrible, oh, I'm no good, because you can play that game with yourself when you video something. Imagine that you are a person watching it for that little bit of time. You can't go back and rewatch it. An audition, the wonderful thing about an audition, I know they do videotape auditions, but in the moment, it's that moment, and you really can't capture that on video in any sense. It's you, the people in the room, and your relationship to them. So I encourage you to video and watch yourself. So here's some things you can ask yourself. You say, I thought that was really good. Okay, so then you say, okay, what was good about it and why? You can't just say, I thought that was good. And when you're working with your friends or other people that are auditioning, saying it was good is wonderful to say to your friends, but that really doesn't help them grow or get better. What was good about it? Encourage them in a direction that, you know, I really like that. I wish you had gone further. Or that was exactly it. And this is why I thought it was exactly it, because I believe that the character wanted that. That's one thing that you really have to be able to focus in on when you are critiquing yourself and others. Now, we're all going to have things that don't work. We're all going to have days where things don't go well. So you have to ask yourself, okay, that didn't quite work. Not that was horrible and I'm a bad person, I'm never going to be able to do this, but that didn't quite work. Why didn't it work? And what can I do to improve it? And you don't have to answer right away. So, you're working with your coaches, you're videoing yourself, you're doing these things, but you have to put yourself in a state of mind where you can do some of this work yourself. So, best thing to do is when you're singing something from a show, okay, you need to know certain things about how that is set before you begin to depart from how it's normally performed, okay? So, when you're preparing your pieces, you should start with what we call the givens, okay? Where is the character in the world and his surroundings? When are the events taking place in history in his own lifetime? Who the character is, including his relationship to the other characters. Is there someone else on stage? You need to identify what the character wants. From the entire piece, there's a reason, especially in a musical, Broadway musical, the reason we sing is because we can't express it in text anymore. And so, what is the super objective? What is it that he really wants for the entire piece? What does he want for each verse of the piece? How does the story progress? It's not just singing a pretty song, it's telling a story. And if I can get that across to any of you, when you perform, you are telling a story through singing and through lyrics. And so there has to be a story there. Okay, then we have to know why. But not only what you want, but why you want it. And what's happening in your life that's causing you to have to break into song. What is it that holds you back? Did you just fall in love for the first time and the only way you can express that is through song? Did you just find out that somebody was cheating on you and you feel very betrayed? Did you just find out a big piece of news? Whatever, there was a reason. You have to know why that is so you can inform that in your presentation. Okay, so what is it about? What is this song about? Okay, again, what is your character? Super objective. What are the things that make him want, him or her, sorry, he or she, what are the things that want he or she that drive him to go after this? And it can be anything. What are the obstacles in the way? Because your song may encounter obstacles that you have to deal with. And how do you solve those? And how do you get beyond that? The bottom line is your character has something that he wants, he needs, and he has to pursue it with all of the vigor that he has in his being to get it. And the song can help you do that. Okay? Now, sometimes you haven't worked it out yet. Sometimes it's what am I going to do? Okay, so these thoughts have to come to you much like I'm doing now. I'm thinking about what I'm going to say next. And so those thoughts have to come to you. So there's a subtext going on that causes you to say what it is you're saying. So you need to know what it is you're thinking or what it is you've thought in between the verses or in the musical interludes that get you to the next thought. These are very important things that you can do. These are acting tools, absolutely, that you can incorporate into your singing. And even great dancers tell a story through their movement, and they transitions and they have thoughts and emotions. So I would really recommend that you take that moment to really do that homework and find the given circumstances. As you figure it out, bear in mind that almost every song is a conversation, whether with a person who is present or with yourself. If you're singing to someone else, imagine how the other person might react to what you sing, and that will give you ideas of what you might be thinking or feeling. So, here's a good exercise for that. When if you have a rehearsal partner, and your acting teacher or your singing teacher might do that. So you may sing a phrase, and then they'll ask you a question, and you have to answer the question with the next thing you're going to say. So you might say, I'm so in love with her, and then you might be thinking, somebody say, why? Because she lights up the sky when I see her smile. So you have a reason for everything that you say. You're not just a singing head. You are telling a story. Anybody can make beautiful tones, and yes, you want it to be beautiful, but you want it to be meaningful because that's how you're going to get the job. So, in an audition, if I have 4 or 5 people singing the same piece for me, but they're each going to have their own interpretation, and let's say they all sing it beautifully. The voices are all beautiful. I really can't choose which one is more beautiful, which one is less beautiful, which one I like. What's going to get me is how you tell me that story and how you're going to bring me in and how I'm going to see that. And it's because you are living in that moment. And the way you do that is by practicing that. So you're going to come in, you're going to practice coming into a room, you're going to practice introducing yourself. You're going to sing your piece, you're going to have people watch it, you're going to videotape yourself. So you are so sure of what you're going to say. Now, people say, well, that takes out the spontaneity. But our job as actors is to first create what we're doing and be in the moment, and then to recreate that each time as if it is the first time. Because if you think about an actor or a singer who's in a Broadway run and they've been in it for 2 years, they have to find a way, they can deviate a little bit, but they have to find a way to recreate it for the first time every time. So that comes into now, again, your choice of repertoire. So it's better to have more than 2 pieces. I mean, I would say between 4 and 7 pieces that you can do so that after you've been doing one for a while, you might change it up because you're not being spontaneous anymore. You need to put it away because you're not thinking about it. Remember, every time you're getting up to perform, whether it be for a class, your teacher, yourself on a video, it is a chance to perform. It's not just going through the motions. You can't wait for the costumes and the lighting and the scenery and all that to show up. You have to practice giving that performance. And your audition is a performance. Make no exception about that. They're making many decisions about you, but if you can come in and give them a convincing performance, that's the thing that's going to set you apart from everybody else. I talked a lot about making sure that you read the entire script of the musical for the songs you are performing. That's absolutely important. But that's also going to be important when you choose a monologue. You really need to read the entire script to inform yourself about what that monologue is going to say. Remember, a lot of the people auditioning you are going to know these pieces that you are reading and singing from, and they're looking for some kind of knowledge that you know what's going on. Now, they may ask you to take a different choice. They may not agree with your choice, but you've made a choice, and that's all in your preparation, so that when you come in the room, you know exactly how that's going to go. You're not going to leave anything to chance. It's your job interview. You have to absolutely do that. Now, the final step, preparing again for that dance call or that movement call. Again, you have to do that in your dance classes. One way to do that, I'm hoping that your dance class will prepare you in that way by doing a quick, here's a combination, learn it very quickly, come back in and dance it. Again, the only way that you're going to learn to do that is by exposing yourself to that. So take a dance class where they're teaching a combination and see how quickly and accurately you can learn that. I know there are things online, there are classes online that you can take, and you can video yourself doing those combinations to see how you look. If you've taken the right dance instruction, then you'll know when the arm is extended or where the hands, you'll be aware of what your body's doing, and that's absolutely important as part of this preparation for doing the audition. It's not just learning how to dance and doing in the learning phase, but it's actually practicing it outside of the audition. Actually going into a room, finding a space where you can move around, where you can put a combination together, where you can find a combination, remember it, and put it down. Having somebody teach you a combination, see how quickly you can reproduce that and remember it. Those are things that you're going to need, but you need to practice that outside the audition, because even though taking the audition is the only way to get the experience, and maybe that's the way you do it, the people that have done that preparation beforehand get a leg up and might get a callback. The resume and the dreaded headshot. Now, when you're beginning, you're not going to have necessarily a lot of experience, stage experience. You're going to have 3 or 4 things, but here are the kind of things you can put on your resume to help that out. So if you've been in the ensemble of something, if you had a little part, it can be a church play, it can be a community theater thing, it can be a school thing. Don't forget, your schools do plays and musicals and things like that. You should get involved there to get that experience. You can list that. You can list the classes that you've taken. Like, okay, at training, I took a class at X Theater with this director. I took a dance class at this studio with this choreographer. My voice teacher is blank. I've entered a competition. I got 3rd place in a competition. I won a scholarship. I worked on the stage crew for these things. You want to really put your resume together in a way that shows that you have a lot of theater experience. Or show them the theater experience that you have. Don't try to pad it, don't try to lie, don't try to make it look professional, but don't make it look better than it is. Easy way to do that is just to go online and look up resumes for actors and singers. And there's 1,000 of them, okay? At this stage, you just want to have somebody that has your information, your name, certainly, how to get in contact with you, phone number and email, your height, your weight, etc., listing all the things I talked about, your experience, your performing experience, perhaps your training, anything you've done backstage, any competition scholarships you've won, just to get them an idea that, okay, this person is really serious about this. This is somebody I should look at. Make sure it looks professional, make sure everything is spelled correctly, make sure the spacing is correct. There's no really excuse now. We have word processors. Have somebody proof it. And have somebody who knows the business take a look at it and make sure you've spelled everything right and everything lines up and it makes sense. And that can be your acting teacher, your voice teacher, your choreographer teacher. Make sure it's there. Now, the headshot. Yes, you can pay a lot of money to get a really high, slick, professional headshot. And that's going to be a time when you're going to have to do that. But now we have phones that have great cameras in them that you can take a good headshot to show who you are. Now, make sure it shows who you are, because the worst thing is for your headshot to be in front of the person and then somebody walks in the room and they don't look anything like the headshot. So just show them who you are. Show them your personality. Have a couple of options. Have a fun option. Have a more formal option. Switch up your wardrobe. See what that looks like. And then choose the ones that you're going to use. Now, if you change your hair color, if you change your hair length, if you all of a sudden grow a beard, if you're a guy and you don't have a beard in the photo, better to take something in that looks like you. Because if they see 300 or 400 people and the person they saw doesn't look like the picture they saw, even though they made notes, they may not remember you. So it's very important that you keep that up. Now, there are many ways. Sometimes people print a full headshot. Now they're putting them on the resume with a link possibly to a website that you may be getting to develop. And that's also something you can do. There's easy enough to build a website that just has your resume, maybe some pictures, maybe some clips of you performing if they're good, and make sure that they are very well produced and something that you want to be out there, because once it's out there, it's out there. So again, check with your teachers, check with your voice teacher, check with your acting coach, check with your choreographer or your dance teacher. Make sure that what you're putting out there is representing you, and it's going to change, especially if you're young. Every year that you are auditioning, you are growing, you are changing. And so that process at the beginning is going to be changing over quite a bit, so you want to make sure you keep up with that and keep it current. Remember, I think I said in the first session, if you are doing this to be a professional, then you have to treat it professionally. Okay, and that means you have to not only do all of your preparation to get ready to take the audition, which is what we're going to talk about next time, but you also have to present yourself as professionally as possible, because that's going to say a lot about you. Okay, if your materials aren't in a professional way, that says perhaps something about how you prepare or how you operate in life. And so remember, everything makes an impression, and unfortunately you only get to make that first impression once. So everything you put out there has got to be something that really represents who you are, that you are proud of and you can stand behind. You've done a lot of preparation, not only in getting your skills, but in getting ready for this audition. So we better go give an audition. So tomorrow we're going to tell you how to have a successful audition and set yourself up in the best light possible. For the Princeton Festival, this is Stephen LaCosse signing off for today, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.